Okay. Hi, everybody. As everybody kind of knew from the invitation, I wanted to give everyone the opportunity to really understand what it is that Juice Plus does for our bodies, and Sharon Farrar is kind enough to express that to us. So, Sharon.
That was short and sweet. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and do the presentation that we have been doing with some foundational truths and things that I have learned over the last 17 years that should really encapsulate the foundational fundamental things to know. And so our company, the Juice Plus company, is all about making one simple change at a time. So our name for tonight is One Simple Change. And so we're going to talk about, the first simple change being Juice Plus, because that leads to other great changes. It's a catalyst, it's a snowball for lots of changes that you're going to hear about that have really impacted our lives. But before we do that, let's talk about the foundational truths in regard to, taking care of our bodies. We only have one body. It's the only place we have to live in. So we really want to take good care of that. When we go out to our cars, if it doesn't work, aren't we pretty upset? Aren't we pretty frustrated? Well, we don't want that to happen with our bodies over time either. So we want to take good care of our bodies. It's the only place we have to live. And then we want to look at the disease state in America so that we don't make the same mistakes. We live in an affluent country, but there's a lot of disease. We want to be like the healthier countries. 1 in 3 women, 1 in 2 men will have cancer. 1 in 3 have diabetes. That is on the rise, along with obesity. They're calling it diabesity because of that. Many Americans are on 2 or more prescription medications, and our teens and our children are being affected by the same lifestyle choices. And it's important that we keep our weight at a good place. For every 40 pounds overweight, we increase not just our chances of things you might think would increase, like heart attack, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, but also cancer by 80%. So all of this, is worth just considering and keeping in mind. And, we have a lot of people in America that do have those extra 40 pounds. And some people might say, well, I'm predestined or predisposed to certain diseases, breast cancer, diabetes, whatever. But it's been pretty proven that only 1/4 of your longevity or your disease states, is based on genetics. 3/4 are on lifestyle choices. So it's really important that you really try to maintain a healthy lifestyle. In the end, genetics loads the gun, but your lifestyle is what pulls the trigger. And you could see the difference in these 2 men who are about the same age. And we don't want to be victims of the healthcare system. We want to take control of our health and our wellness and invest in the prevention and wellness side instead of the symptoms, medication, and medical side. As much as we can, we want to take control of our health and really have that power. One of the places we're going to look is at not eating processed foods. And if you want to go ahead and mute yourself, Kristen. Our striking reality is that 90% of the food eaten in America is processed. We live in a time, Dr. David Katz of Yale says that children are more harmed by poor diet than exposure to drugs, alcohol, and tobacco combined. So we need to really look at food, because 75% to 80%, I've heard say, of diseases are preventable with good nutrition. A lot of people think, oh, I am destined, to continue to take this medication for the rest of my life, or I have heart disease, or I have thyroid problems, or I have this or that. They don't understand, or maybe they don't realize that there's just as many books about reversing those, reversing diabetes, reversing heart disease, reversing thyroid disorders that they could really access and really take a look at and really get some help with. So it's important to know that nutrition is a big key, and it's what we can control all day long with what we put in our mouth. And we need to realize that food is fuel. And real food doesn't have a label. If you look to the right, you'll see that whole food, like watermelon, rots. We like to say if it doesn't rot or sprout, throw it out. So, real food has live enzymes, things that grew from the ground, really, or is alive. And so you want to really focus on those types of foods. Those are usually in the perimeter of the aisles. And then when you have processed foods, if you look at the fast food meal on the bottom, a lot of them have so many preservatives, and same with our boxed foods and things like that, where our bodies have to work harder. So it's good to remember that the less real food you have in your diet, your body is having to work harder and harder. And you really want to have live enzymes really at every meal, because that helps digest your food as well. So if it doesn't rot or sprout, throw it out. There's make a better choice. Now, in the occasion when we're not eating out of the perimeter of the aisles, the perimeter of the store, and we go down the aisles, you want to be nutrition detectives, and you don't want to spend much time in those aisles. You want to get out of there as fast as possible. I usually, when I took my kids, I would say, okay, you can stay in the Greenwise area because we have that at Publix. But you could also go to Whole Foods, and you're going to have better quality ingredients. You want to think about the quality of ingredients that are going in your body, so your kidneys don't have to work harder, your liver doesn't have to work harder, your body doesn't have to work harder. It recognizes them as food. But when you do go and buy a boxed or processed food, look at the front cover, don't trust it, and know that that's marketing, okay? And just say, okay, that is the front cover, but I need to look at the quality of the ingredients. And so then you look at that, and if it's divided up and like it says honey and then cornstarch and then corn syrup and then sugar, and they're dividing up those different sugars, then you know that maybe you should put that down. The first ingredient is the biggest, and same with the first 4 or 5, and then you want to identify harmful ingredients, things like MSG, hydrogenated oils, the colors, the numbers, things like that, and think, well, can I make a better choice? Usually there is a better choice. Then you want to look to see the long ingredient list. That's not a good thing. A short ingredient list is better. And, there's like different peanut butters that might have a very long ingredient list. And then there's ones that just say peanuts or peanuts and salt. So make those choices as you are buying those foods that have been sitting on the shelf for a while. And then looking for more than 2 grams of fiber or more, just so that your blood sugar levels don't spike. You have a good glycemic index. It's good to have more grams of fiber. And while I'm on the subject of fiber, it's good to know where the real fiber comes from, and that is from plant foods. And you want to increase your plant foods as much as possible so that you get even up to 50 grams of fiber or more. The statistic for Americans is about 11 grams of fiber, but the healthy countries, they're consuming a lot of fiber all day long, from the morning till night. And so that comes from plants, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, and beans. And so you want to keep that in mind. Increase your fiber as much as possible. That's what's going to help fight disease and get out toxins from your body. A lot of people turn to vitamins to bridge that gap. They're not eating properly and they feel sluggish, and they say, well, let me go ahead and take a vitamin. Here is a very popular children's vitamin. After you just now became nutrition detectives, this might stand out to you that there's not a lot of good stuff in this one. And I'm not going to name names or anything, but this is not necessarily what we need to bridge the gap. We need whole foods to bridge the gap, not vitamins. And the Journal of the American Medical Association says popping vitamin pills may actually increase the risk of death. Americans should get their vitamins from food. And you can find that there's a lot of controversy with vitamins because they megadose them. They haven't found a lot of great results for preventing disease in isolated forms of vitamins. So it's better to get your vitamins from whole foods. So on the article on the left, which was way back when the Iraqi war was happening, it says better than vitamins. Can phytochemicals, that's plant chemicals, prevent cancer? Yes. The truth about antioxidants. So we're going to talk about that. And that mainly comes from fruits and vegetables. And so you really get your vitamins from food sources like fruits and vegetables. And so on the right, you'll see an apple, and that's one page of 25 of ingredients of what's in an apple. So there would be 24 more pages with that little tiny print of what's in an apple. And so there's thousands and thousands of nutrients in an apple, but only one of those is vitamin C. So they take that vitamin C out, they say, oh, it's connected to scurvy. Let me replicate that, put it in an isolated form and megadose it. And they, hope to replicate nature, but it's really hard to do because it's missing all the other little elements you see on that page, that have not yet been identified and replicated. And that's going to be really hard to do if they do try. And so in a apple, you've got thousands of nutrients, but same with the red pepper, same with the plum, the peach, the kale, the parsley. All plants have different phytonutrients that are really, really good for you. Some of them are better for you than others. Like with green leafy vegetables, you'll get your calcium. And if you went to a doctor and you took a multivitamin to get your calcium, they'd say, make sure it has magnesium in it. Green leafy vegetables is a great source of calcium because it not only has the magnesium, but it also has the boron, the phosphorus, the vitamin K that help it get into the bone and stay in the bone. So you're missing all that if you're just taking a multivitamin supplement, which only has 30 isolated vitamins and minerals, where an actual fruit or vegetable has thousands. And so that's why the American Cancer Society poster is all fruits and vegetables. You see all those different colors. And I didn't really know about all this until I learned about it about 17 years ago. I have a couple master's degrees, but they were not in nutrition. But this fascinated me to learn that I could take some control over my health. I figured, cancer was doled out, somebody's going to get it, somebody's not. You never think you're going to get it, right? But then in the back of your mind, you're like, well, I need to do something about that. And so the American Cancer Society poster, when it showed all those fruits and vegetables, that made me realize, along with knowing about live enzymes, that we need to eat live foods all day long because we're live beings and we want to stay alive for a long time and have optimal health. That made me want to eat more fruits and vegetables, even though I didn't really want them. That was not my desire at all. And so anyway, but that made logical sense. And then I'm going to tell you about oxidative stress, which will also help you to maybe choose those fruits and vegetables as well. The Time Magazine article up at the top says the news isn't that fruits and vegetables are good for you, it's that they're so good they could save your life. Now that's really important. And you'll see that when somebody's diagnosed with something, they are ready to turn to fruits and vegetables. They want to get as many in as they can. The minimum, remember, a minimum recommendation in a country that's not all that healthy, you should go beyond that. Okay, 7 to 13 is the minimum recommendation. 7 is for children, 13 for adult men who exercise. But we don't want to stop there. You really want to have as many fruits and vegetables in your body as possible. So, whether you have to chop them up, whether you want to juice them, all kinds of different things. And we're going to talk about Juice Plus, how awesome that is. But let's talk about what happens at the cellular level. Why fruits and vegetables and the practice of prevention. So every single day we have something called oxidative stress going on. And that's a result of regular metabolism, just breathing, eating. It's the way, our bodies were built. And so because of that metabolism, the response, there is what's called free radicals. And these electrons called free radicals are going around and hitting on your good cell 10,000 oxidative hits a day. Okay. So it's really important to not have that happen, because what happens is the cell becomes mutated over time with little nicks, it becomes mutated and it becomes aging, early aging, or disease. So we don't want to age any faster. We want to slow the aging process, and we don't want to move any closer to disease. So we've got to stop that oxidative stress or those free radicals hitting on your good cells. Now, the only way to do that is with antioxidants. So oxidative stress on one side, antioxidants on the other. You want to have an equal amount. Okay, so you want to have just as many fruits and vegetables in your body as you do oxidative stress. Now, people who smoke, you have even more. You need to have even more antioxidants from fruits and vegetables. If you are a marathon runner, you need to have more antioxidants because you're creating more oxidative stress in your body. So stress does it, all kinds. So, you have to eat lots and lots of fruits and vegetables. And so one Nobel Peace Prize winner, Dr. Bruce Ames, says every day that you don't have enough fruits and vegetables in your body, it's like standing in front of an X-ray machine. So it's really important, because also from those free radicals, it damages your DNA cells, which then replicate. And so it's like making a copy of a copy of a copy, what happens to our DNA. And so there's strand breakage. And so we want to slow that aging process and that mutation and that breakage on our DNA. Thomas Edison said the doctor of the future will no longer treat the human frame with drugs, but rather will cure and prevent disease with nutrition. So he was right in line with that way back when. And Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine. So we have two different ways with our Juice Plus community to help bridge that nutritional gap. We might be tempted by burgers and fries and cakes and shakes and all kinds of different things that are available. Birthday party foods of the 50s, I like to call them, where we have desserts available to us all day long. It's not just coming out at a birthday party anymore. It's really in your face. And so, we need to be able to help bridge that gap with what we do eat and what we should be eating. So Juice Plus was like a perfect solution that many years ago, 25 years ago, the company was looking at, juicing as a solution. That is a really great thing. But they wanted to go one step further and also make it easier for people. So they juiced, and then they took out the salt, the sugar, and the water and put 30 different fruits, vegetables, and a couple of grains into capsule form. And so it's gluten-free, it's dairy-free, and it's a real easy way to make a significant difference in your health. And I've been taking this for almost 17 years. It gives you that variety of all the different fruits and vegetables and berries. And I can't say enough about it. It's absolutely awesome. I look at it as concentrated nutrition, just like there's Tide, in concentrated form, you can have concentrated fruits and vegetables. And so a great way to bridge that gap and to actually have all the different colors and to have raw and live enzymes. Juice Plus is whole food. It has a nutrition label instead of a supplement label. If you look at things on your shelf, you might find some things that say supplement facts instead of nutrition facts. There's nutrition facts on there. And so that means it was deemed by the FDA as a food, and that's what we want, is to bridge that food gap. And then further, they said, well, we don't want anybody to think that we have herbicides, pesticides, heavy metals, mold, bacteria, and all those different things, because we have a lot of people with compromised immune systems taking Juice Plus. We want to have that third-party validation so that people will be very comfortable. So we have NSF certification on our labels and through our plant. They come to the plant, they test the powders, they make sure that everything that is on the label is in the product and vice versa. And then it is the most researched nutritional product in the world. There's now 36 peer-reviewed medical journals behind Juice Plus at all these different medical centers and universities. Here's my before and after picture. This is my first baby, Matthew, and I did not know a thing about nutrition. And I really feel like you could tell if you look at my after picture, which is 8 years later, when I made a lot of simple changes. The first one being Juice Plus, I started to really get excited about what I was learning and really getting concentrated nutrition every single day. And so I'm going to tell you about the complete shake I used as well. I got pregnant right after Matthew. That picture is not on here. And I was able to use Juice Plus and the complete shake for that pregnancy. And then I felt so good about all the different changes I had made by the age of 40, which is the bottom picture. So it was 8 years later. I was happy to be pregnant at 40. My doctor, for some reason, was not as happy. He was like, your eggs are 40 years old. I'm like, listen, buddy, I'm healthier than ever. And so hopefully you can see the picture of health, in the bottom picture. It really does show. And better, less inflammation overall, and just better health. I no longer have allergies. I'm no longer as drained. I don't have to stop off the side of the road and sleep like I used to have to on just a 3-hour drive. I no longer have antibiotics from just a simple cold. I don't have any antibiotics. And my kids have really good health where we don't really have to go to the doctor except when they break something or get stitches, And here are some of those medical centers and universities, including MD Anderson Medical Center, which is a top cancer center in America, and University of Florida, which is in our own state, Yale, Wake Forest. These are top-notch universities and medical centers, and it takes a lot for them to say yes to have their students or their medical patients being used for research. So you know that it was already deemed safe and it was already deemed effective before they would ever use it at these different places. Juice Plus is clinically proven, and I love the research because I do have a background in research. And I was able to see many of these research studies come about because I've been with the company and speaking on this for a long time. And so when I first started, there was only 3 journals. And so I've seen every journal since. And so there's 36 now. And what I found is that the research just is phenomenal. And you can be assured that you're not buying a vitamin, you're not buying a supplement, you're buying a better body. Is what you're buying. So there's a reduction in oxidative stress. It helps support the immune system. A lot of people with autoimmune disorders get better with Juice Plus. It helps protect that DNA. They found less DNA strand breakage, which was really important. There's over 5 different studies showing better cardiovascular wellness, and that is the #1 killer in America as far as diseases. And then reduces systemic inflammation. They found that systemic inflammation is correlated with pretty much every disease. So to reduce that, that is awesome. Everything they do with the Juice Plus research has to do with disease at the bottom line level for the most part. And then supporting healthy skin and gums. That just kind of goes hand in hand with good health. You're going to have better skin and better gums when you do that. Here is one particular study I love. It's in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, which is a very prestigious journal. And they used the Juice Plus Orchard and Garden blend, the red and the green. That's 20 different fruits and vegetables. And they used in a different group, Orchard, Garden, and Vineyard, and that's 30 different fruits, vegetables, and berries. The berries were made specifically for heart and circulation. And so what they did was they took people to McDonald's, believe it or not, and they gave them a high-fat meal of 2 hash browns, 2 McMuffins, and that was, I think, 900 calories, 50 grams of fat. And whenever you eat a high-fat meal, just know that your blood vessels are usually open, but they constrict. And so if you've already got problems in your blood vessels, that's like a problem waiting to happen. So you don't want to have those high fat meals where you're constricting your blood vessels, and also high intensity exercise can do that as well. That's why sometimes people have heart attacks after high intensity exercise. So what they wanted to look at was, does fruits and vegetables help prevent that constriction of the blood vessels? And so they had people take their particular group of pills for 28 days and come back and have that same high fat meal of 2 hash browns, 2 egg McMuffins. And so the placebo group, that was one group, they had a placebo which had no active ingredient. That didn't change. It was 4 to 6 hours. They were constricted, and also 40 to 60%. That's that window of opportunity for a heart problem. Then the Orchard and Garden blend, what they found in the purple bar is 62% less blood vessel constriction. So they were definitely better with just the Orchard and Garden blend. So fruits and vegetables make a big difference, and that was just 28 days. And then the Orchard, Garden, and Vineyard blend, it was 98% less blood vessel constriction. So what they said in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology was that it basically eliminated the detrimental effect of that high-fat meal. So that was pretty profound that they wrote that. And it was on WebMD, and it was called Big Mac Attack. So it's really important to take from this a couple things. One, fruits and vegetables, what happens is you feed your body the right nutrition. Your body has its own pharmacy of what it needs to do to feed the different parts of your body that work. And in this case, it was the endothelial lining. The endothelial lining needs to expand and contract and work that blood pressure and those blood vessels. And so anyway, that was what it really helped, was the endothelial lining. And so you never know, we don't know what our body needs. So we've got to take in lots of fruits and vegetables so that our body can use them to heal and to do what it's supposed to do. But if we're feeding our bodies the wrong food, those pharmacies stay shut, the pharmacies that are built into our body. So whether it's mood, whether it's, heart, whether it's all these different things, our internal pharmacy needs to be open, and that's going to be opened with better nutrition. And so a lot of people ask me, well, will Juice Plus help with this, that, the other? All these different things might come up in conversation: infertility, diabetes, cancer, all these things. And what I want to say in general is that better nutrition helps everything. Just like I said, you've got to feed yourself better nutrition to make a difference in all these things. And if you look up on the internet, just anything that you're worried about. Today I spoke with somebody, they were worried about MS. Well, if you look up any disease or disorder, the first thing they're going to say, most likely, is eat more fruits and vegetables, whether it's stroke, Alzheimer's, whatever, because we are all undergoing such oxidative stress, and we have compromised immune systems and systemic inflammation. Those 3 things alone affect a lot of these things. So Juice Plus helps get down to that disease disorder level and helps get you the right nutrition. With our children, we've found that they take less over-the-counter and prescription medication. They're missing fewer days of school. they're visiting the doctor less, and they're eating more fruits and vegetables. Just like when you drink water, you crave more water, or if you're drinking soda, you crave more soda. We get those fruits and vegetables into the bodies of the kids, whether it's through chewable form or capsule form. Even children with autism, I've seen this with, we finally get it into them. They don't self-limit as much. They start to expand their palate, which is really awesome. So we've talked a lot about micronutrients. Micronutrients come from fruits and vegetables. You know, it's the vitamins, the minerals, the enzymes, the phytochemicals, and that's the oil in the car. That's something we need all the time, but we may not think about all the time. It's the oil for the engine. And so that's really important. And then we always think about, well, where am I going next? The gas in the car. Do I have enough gas to get to the next place? Do I have enough food that I've eaten today? And so I'm happy to introduce you to something that will help with the macronutrient to bridge that gap of having a really great meal every single day. So the micronutrients, that would be solved with the Juice Plus capsules. It would be helped. Let's not say solved. We still want you to eat lots and lots of fruits and vegetables. Macronutrient wise, we love, love, love the complete smoothie mix. And that is vegan, it's gluten-free, it's complex carbohydrates, it's got a lot of protein, a lot of fiber. My son actually called it a detox, but Juice Plus in general is a detox every single day. Fruits and vegetables are detoxing. But also the shake helps with bowel movements, so does Juice Plus. And so I think that was why he mentioned that. Anyway, it's got a lot of good fiber, and then you add things. You know, one of our doctors said, you know, it's a vehicle delivery system to add even more nutrients to it. You know, a lot of people like to make smoothies and add things to them, or they make smoothies and they don't have a protein powder, and so they're missing one of the main components of what they need in a smoothie. We like to grind flaxseed or put chia seed in there. That's Emma down there. The kids make it themselves a lot. Dr. William Sears, who's America's pediatrician, he actually calls this particular shake a brainy breakfast because it's a good start for the day. We have it every single day in our household. It's got really good ingredients that the healthier countries eat. And I wanted to mention also, you know, a lot of people have stomach issues, intestinal issues. It helps build your intestinal bacteria. There's Jerusalem artichoke in there, which is a prebiotic to the probiotic, which is really awesome. And you know what? Just all these different things, they help to be a catalyst for change. This is Maggie. I just love seeing how people change going on Juice Plus. They start to do more, you know, they start to have more energy. They start to feel better. Maggie, that's Maggie's picture on the left when I met her. And then this is Maggie's picture now. I said, I've got to take a picture of you. You have just changed so much. And I've seen it myself. It's like neat when you see these transformations with your own eyes. And so she just really got her family on the better path to health. Dr. Sirota recommended to her son to take Juice Plus, and she's a local pediatrician here. And she said yes to having her son take it because he was headed for diabetes. He was overweight. Dr. Sirota was concerned. And so then Maggie got on because the Children's Health Study Program, the adult can buy theirs and get a child free. And so she was like, okay, I'll take it too because of that pretty much. And so then she didn't know that all these changes were going to happen with her health. And so now the whole family is at CrossFit every weekend. They're in CrossFit competitions. The son is doing so great. They use Juice Plus and the complete shake every day. And that's just a snowball effect. And I'm going to ask Kristen to talk about, I'm going to show you what the next slide looks like too, Kristen, so you'll know how to tell us about these different pictures, and just give us just some feedback on how you felt since saying yes to Juice Plus by Dr. Sirota also.
I think everybody knows how skeptical I was of it initially when Dr. Sirota recommended it, and I listened to everything that Dr. Sirota said, and I said, okay, until I was just desperate, and I said, fine, I'll take it. And I did, and I'm glad that I did. On the left picture, my daughter, Brooke, is incredibly picky. She was so constipated when we started that she was actually bleeding and she'd go to the bathroom, she'd throw up. So I had to trick her into taking it. So I would make the shakes into popsicles. And that worked for a while, and then she got tired of it. And then the bottom right picture here is her birthday, which was last month. And she actually asked me to make a shake for her while we were walking out the door. So I made her a shake. And the picture right here was actually today. She asked if she could make it herself. So she made a vanilla shake with cinnamon and peanut butter powder, and she was very proud of herself. My husband, who's also in the popsicle picture, kind of said, whatever you do, whatever you're going to do, that's fine, whatever. And so he saw me give the kids gummies, and I gave them, I drank the shake. My son, this is my oldest, my stepson here, but the baby, I don't think he's in any of these pictures, but he liked the shake. So my husband just kind of passively watched us to the point where now he's taking his gummies. He's drinking 2 shakes a day. He's lost somewhere between 15 and 20 pounds. He was probably eating 3 bowls of cereal, which you'll see on the next slide. We were going through a ridiculous amount of milk, and I actually had to throw those 2 gallons of milk away because he's just not drinking milk anymore for no reason other than he doesn't really want it. He calls me and tells me he picked up a salad on the way. We went to Japan in for dinner 3 weeks ago, I think it was, and he leaned over to me at the table and he said, "This salad is delicious." And I just started laughing because this is a man who, when I met him, loved Frosted Flakes and ate nothing but Hamburger Helper and Sloppy Joes growing up, and Entenmann's Donuts. So he's a big change in a positive way. He says, I'm not the girl that he met. I was very much into beer and chicken wings. Go out. Sorry. They just came to say hello. Beer and chicken wings, and I enjoyed it, and now I still like beer. But the thought of eating a chicken wing is just not something I want to do.
Hi.
Say hi. This is Cooper. This is the baby who you love your shake. Mm-hmm. And the bottom right-hand corner picture is Dr. Sorda is very big on probiotics. The capsules actually have their probiotic in it, so I don't take an additional probiotic. But the kids, they actually ask for this too. And then I just try to be really good about drinking water. We all have our own. I spent the money on the Swell bottles, and then I realized you can get the same thing at TJ Maxx for $10. So, and they're a lot easier to lose than a Swell bottle, or a lot easier to swallow when you lose them. So everybody has their own Swell bottle, and we go everywhere with our own water bottle now and try to drink as much water as we can, right?
Yeah. Say yes. Well, thank you, Kristen. That's awesome. And basically it comes down to good nutrition is going to equal good results. You're going to have really good results if you have good nutrition. Your body is going to know what to do with it. And so I just want to encourage you guys to eat lots of fruits and vegetables. That's really the foundation of better health. Eat more whole foods, more live enzyme foods, more plant foods. And so you'll feel like this. And I want to encourage you to join our Facebook group. We have lots of good tips like Kristen just shared with you. We have good tips in there every day, and we also have good recipes. And here are our foundational products. On the left are the micronutrients. Remember the oil for the car that we might forget about, but we need desperately: vitamins, minerals, enzymes, phytochemicals. That's in your fruits and vegetables that have been juiced for you, put into capsule form or chewable. And then we have the complete shake. We also have bars that mirror the shake, and that's wonderful as a breakfast. We also have a second time in the day a lot. I had 2 today. And then the bars, I had a bar today. So it's just really part of a healthy lifestyle. The bar helps, if you're out running around and you haven't eaten and you don't want to eat bad food. That's a really good one. It's gluten-free and all that good stuff. Lots of fiber again. And then we have the Tower Garden, which is a vertical aeroponic and hydroponic system of growing that you could find out more about that. Kristen can always send you more information. But, whether you want to try to eat more fruits and vegetables, definitely eat plenty of them. Eat them vine ripe and eat the dark, dense ones. Those are the ones that are really, really important. Eat live herbs, things like that. But most people can't or won't. So the Juice Plus Trio Blend capsules is $2.39 a day, and you could get you and a child free. It's really, really reasonable. The complete shake is $2 a scoop, and then you make it into a full meal. It's a meal replacement or a meal supplement if you want. And then the bars are about $2 each as well. And then the Tower Garden's like $45 a month for a year. So check it out. And I hope that this helped you today. And we're just going to, we have a lot more guests now. And we're just going to say good night and take some questions or comments. I'm going to turn off the recording so we can at least say hello to all you guys.